Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So I saw a video on Facebook today. Almost the same idea I've been talking about for a long time now. It looked like it was from the 70s, and I will try and stick it on the end of this video. And I'll also put it in the Pursuit of the Truth companion if I can find it on YouTube. And it was a classroom. Now, I don't know whether it was a setup or it was a real classroom and it was a real experiment. But this teacher decided to ask about different races and what races are not liked and why they're not liked and what that meant to them. And then she changed. She's decided that in the classroom, people, rather than be divided by colour, would be divided by their eye colour. It made me laugh because that's what I've been saying for ages. So it's not a new idea from me. And she used techniques to make the ones with, I think it started off with, was it blue eyes were better than brown eyes? And there was ramifications of that. And there were also, she would pick certain things, ask them certain questions and try and, in their minds, make them feel that if you were blue eye, brown eye, it had a different feeling to it. And it worked, and it was only within a small amount of time she was able to, I suppose brainwashes is the wrong, well maybe it is the correct word, these children into feeling different about each other and themselves, and they didn't do as well. And we all know that that is actually true. We know that when we get put down, we don't achieve as well. When we get told, oh, you did a great job, we do better. We all know that psychology. So, but it was interesting to see this in the small classroom, how within 15 minutes it affected them, and how they started fighting and name calling. So imagine how it must feel. Well, I can't, is it? If you think about how they felt in that small amount of time, imagine generation after generation after generation of that kind of brainwashing, that kind of division. Now the thing that interests me also is why. What is the purpose of keeping this division, of dividing us up into countries, in dividing us up in ethnicities? It's like I was looking at this DNA thing, because the difference between each of all of us is 99.9% the same. It's just that 0.1 which does have a million different pairs within it, but those variants is what makes us different. And I never believed how with DNA how you can find out your ancestors were African or white or whatever. So it turns out the way they do it is that I assume they've taken from different parts of the world 1,000 people's DNA, and they look for those variants, those patterns, and then if you get a random person, they match those up and they say, well, it could be, this is similar to you. But of course, we don't know where everyone started. So, Africans could have started in Europe and then migrated east that way or whatever. So it doesn't really have an identifier like that. It's just about an identifier of a place based on the information that we have now. But it was just interesting how it separates us into 3 different races, and it was just, it's just to me we all know we're all human beings. We all have differences, and those differences could have come through generation, through evolution, through to do with moving to hotter and colder climates, to do with melanin, and to do with adapting that way, and all sorts of other things that may have happened, or variants in the DNA depending on who slept with who and what we all started as. So the thing, what I want to know is why is it so important for countries to always ram into us this idea of division? And of course they don't say it's division, they say it's identity. You should be proud of your identity or culture. But the thing is that keeps us divided. Yes, you can still have culture and you can have differences, but we forget that we're all human beings. We all have one life. Soon it will be over, and everything you did or didn't do, that's it. Imagine if your life was suffering every single day, and you had 20 years. Imagine how that... I mean, people complain when they have the small little things. But imagine if you starved for most of your life and you ended your days miserably and you had a poor excuse for life when you knew other people were living so luxuriously. What is the point of this division? Is it just because countries are just, because of our forefathers, we found ourselves, we've decided we've owned bits of land which we never owned? That was our biggest mistake, ever thinking that we owned things and then we could resell them to each other. How stupid is that? Imagine. We resell bits of land to each other to put houses on. Resell, here's some coal and we'll give it to you, electricity and water, and you have to pay for the things that were never theirs in the first place. You may never see the beauty of this whole place that we live upon because you don't have enough money to travel around it. This one existence, this one life, and you don't get to see the whole beauty of everything. So what's the importance of this division? To keep the status quo? To keep the rich rich, the poor poor? Or I suppose that is, it's to keep those units of countries against each other. And by keep making you tick a box that you're white, you're black, you're English, you're American, you're Chinese, you're Russian. Keep us fighting each other with little stories, little things happening in the news. Presidents, prime ministers, premiers saying things. Keeping us fighting at each other. Us ourselves. Fulfilling that story of our life, of this identity that we take upon ourselves, which we were taught from our parents and from schools. Schools, remember, are governed by governments and given syllabuses. And we fight each other freely, without even need of anyone to tell us or push us to do it. So I think that's the main thing. I think we all need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of division? Of making us feel different from each other, where we all have the same bits inside. We all have wants and desires. We all deserve equality and fairness and a good life. Why can't we give that to each other? Take care, take it easy, God bless and peace.
This is a special week. Does anybody know what it is?
National Brotherhood.
National Brotherhood Week. What's brotherhood? Treat everyone as though he was your brother. And is there anyone in this United States that we do not treat as our brothers?
Yes.
Who?
The
The black people. Who else?
Indians.
Absolutely the Indians. Many places in the United States. How are black people treated? How are Indians treated? How are people who are of a different color than we are treated?
They don't get anything in this world.
Why is that?
Because they're different color.
You think you know how that would feel to be judged by the color of your skin? I don't. Do you think you do? No, I don't think you'd know how that felt unless you had been through it, would you? It might be interesting to judge people today by the color of their eyes. Would you like to try this?
Yeah!
Sounds like fun, doesn't it? Since I'm the teacher and I have blue eyes, I think maybe the blue-eyed people should be on top the first day. I mean, the blue-eyed people are the better people in this room. Oh, yes, they are.
They are.
Blue-eyed people are smarter than brown-eyed people. This is a fact. The brown-eyed people do not get to use the drinking fountain. You'll have to use the paper cups. You brown-eyed people are not to play with the blue-eyed people on the playground. Well, the brown-eyed people in this room today are going to wear collars so that we can tell from a distance what color your eyes are. You ready, Laurie?
Brown-eyed.
She's a brown-eyed. You'll begin to notice today that we spend a great deal of time waiting for brown-eyed people. I don't see the yardstick, do you?
It's coming over there. Hey, mister, you better keep that on your desk. Look, the brown-eyed people get out of hand.
Oh, you think if the brown-eyed people get out of hand, that would be the thing to use. Who goes first to lunch?
Blue-eyed.
The blue-eyed people. Blue-eyed people may go back for seconds. Brown-eyed people do not.
Brown-eyed.
Don't you know?
Oh, they're not smart. And it seemed like when we were down on the bottom, everything bad was happening to us.
The way they treated you, you felt like you didn't even want to try to do anything.
It seemed like Mrs. Elliott was taking our best friends away from us.
What happened at recess? Were two of you boys fighting?
Russell called me names and I hit him in the gut.
What did he call you?
Brown eyes. They always call us that.
They keep calling us brown eyes.
What's wrong with being called brown eyes?
It means that we're stupider.
I watched what had been marvelous, cooperative, wonderful, thoughtful children turn into nasty, vicious, discriminating little third graders in a space of 15 minutes. Yesterday, I told you that brown-eyed people aren't as good as blue-eyed people. That wasn't true. I lied to you yesterday. The truth is that brown-eyed people are better than blue-eyed people. Russell, where are your glasses?
I forgot them.
You forgot them. And what color are your eyes?
Blue.
Susan Ginder has brown eyes. She didn't forget her glasses. Russell Ring has blue eyes, and what about his glasses?
He forgot them.
He forgot them. Yesterday we were visiting, and Greg said, "Boy, I like to hit my little sister as hard as I can. That's fun." What does that tell you about blue-eyed people?
They're naughty.
The brown-eyed people may take off their collars, and each of you may put your collar on a blue-eyed person. The brown-eyed people get 5 extra minutes of recess. You blue-eyed people are not allowed to be on the playground equipment. You blue-eyed people are not to play with the brown-eyed people. Brown-eyed people are better than blue-eyed people. They're smarter than blue-eyed people. And if you don't believe it, look at Brian. I use Orton Gillingham Phonics. We use the card pack. The brown-eyed children were in the low class the first day, and it took them 5.5 minutes to get through the card pack. The second day, it took them 2.5 minutes. The only thing that had changed was the fact that now they were superior people. You went faster than I've ever had anyone go through the card pack. Why couldn't you get them yesterday?
We had those collars on.
You think the collars kept you?
just keep thinking about those collars.
Oh, and you couldn't think as well with the collars on. 4 minutes and 18 seconds. How long did it take you yesterday?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. How long did it take you today?
4 minutes and 18 seconds.
What happened?
One down.
What were you thinking of?
This.
I hate today.
How do you do? I hate too.
Because I'm blue-eyed.
See, I am too.
There's nothing, it's not funny, it's not fun, it's not pleasant. This is a filthy, nasty word called discrimination. We're treating people a certain way because they are different from the rest of us. Is that fair?
No.
Nothing fair about it. We didn't say this was going to be a fair day, did we?
No.
And it isn't. It's a horrid day. Okay, you ready? What did you people who are wearing blue collars now find out today?
I know what they felt like yesterday. I did too.
How did they feel yesterday?
Down. Like a dog on a leash. Yeah. Like you're chaining them up into prison. Like you're shut up and you're throwing the key away.
Should the color of some other person's eyes have anything to do with how you treat them?
No.
All right, then should the color of their skin?
No.
Should you judge people
No.
by the color of their skin?
No.
When you see a black man or an Indian or someone walking down the street, are you going to say, look at that silly looking thing?
No.
Does it make any difference whether their skin is black or white?
No.
Or yellow?
No.
Or red?
No.
Is that how you decide whether people are good or bad?
No.
Is that what makes people good or bad?
No.
Now you know a little bit more than you knew at the beginning of this week?
Yes.
Okay, now are you back?
Yes.
That feel better?
Yes.
Does the color of eyes that you have make any difference in the kind of person you are?
No.